Thanks for joining us on News Across Nigeria. I'm Joke Rogers. Coming up on the program today. Code of Conduct Tribunal insists it has jurisdiction to try the Senate President. USAID provides $240 million as development aid in northeast Nigeria. And Agatu victims protest against incessant attacks by herdsmen. Welcome to the program. We begin in the nation's capital, where the Code of Conduct Tribunal has again rules that it has jurisdiction to try the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, in the alleged falsification of assets criminal charges brought against him by the federal government. The tribunal will, while ruling on the preliminary objection filed by Dr. Saraki challenging the legality of the charges against him, dismissed the application on the ground that the federal government and other government agencies are constitutionally empowered to try criminal cases anytime such crimes are uncovered. Chairman of the tribunal, Mr. Danladi Umar, has fixed trial for April the 5th, 2016. He said failure of the Code of Conduct Bureau to meet certain conditions precedent before putting Dr. Saraki on trial was not weighty enough to discharge him. Lead counsel to Dr. Saraki, in his reaction to the ruling, says the Senate President is prepared to prove his innocence, just as the prosecutor reaffirms its commitment to prove its case against Dr. Saraki.
We are just as anxious as the prosecution to go on with this case, because it affords the defendant the opportunity to exonerate himself. In our country today, many people have been accused falsely and they have no opportunity to exonerate themselves. Today, that opportunity is afforded the Senate President, and he will use it.
We thoroughly argued the issues, and I'm sure the applicant will also know he had the foreknowledge that the weakness of his case. So I do not expect any other thing. So it's a good development. Is the point we have been making, that you cannot be relying on what the 1979 Constitution says, and then you want it to override the 1999 Constitution. It can never be done. Let them take it anywhere. We'll be ready for them.
The All Progressives Congress is holding its National Executive Committee meeting at its headquarters in Abuja. This is the party's second NEC meeting after the Buhari administration came into power. President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, as well as some governors and party leaders are attending the meeting. In his opening remarks, the president expressed disappointment at the violence that marred the Rivers State rerun elections, describing it as shameful. He said he would address the problem of election violence during the next elections. Speaking on the fight against corruption, President Buhari also said efforts are being made to publish a list of funds recovered from corrupt politicians and public servants. The United States says it's currently providing over $240 million in development and humanitarian assistance through comprehensive programs in northeastern Nigeria and the broader Lake Chad Basin region. This is according to the USAID Nigeria Mission Director, Michael Harvey, who's in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, on an assessment tour. The tour is to obtain first-hand information on the spendings of sister donor agencies operating in war-torn northeast Nigeria and funded by USAID.
The insurgency in northeastern Nigeria has forced many out of their homes, and this has affected education in the areas. School-aged children have been kept out of their classes. The humanitarian crisis has prompted the United States Agency for International Development to intensify its intervention programs in affected areas. The director of USAID, Michael Harvey, explained that the agency's intervention targets internally displaced persons in Borno, Adamawa, Gombe, Bauchi, Taraba, and Yobe states. USAID believes the task is addressing the many issues. Families in the displaced people's camps, as well as those in the host community, are dealing with it.
Health, water, sanitation, education issues. We've also been funding IOM to work with NEMA to do the counting and the registration of IDPs, working with a whole host of international NGOs, the International Rescue Committee, Action Against Hunger, and several other groups who are working directly in the camps to support what CIMA and the NEMA are trying to do. It's a big program, but as you see around you, the population in need is huge. So it remains a very challenging problem.
The victims of insurgency in Bakassi, originally from Goza Local Council in Borno, are the first to host the team. They complain of poor living conditions and feeding, leading to malnutrition and other illnesses. We need water and drugs, and the weather is very harsh here because there are no trees. The sun disturbs us a lot. Part of the intervention plans of USAID is to identify and empower displaced families, preparing them for their return home.
Our voucher program, where we are providing sort of electronic cash vouchers to IDP families so that they can buy food, but also pay for other non-food expenses that they have, like medicines or rent if they're renting a small house. So there's what we and the other international partners in Nigeria have been trying to do is just put in a basic platform, a minimum package of support to enable families to get by, so that when there is peace, they can go home.
USAID also encourages informal community schools and has given assurances to partner with relevant authorities to give as many kids as possible unlimited access to education.
A military aircraft has skidded off the runway while landing at the Air Force Base in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. Sources in the aviation sector say that no casualty was recorded in the incident, but that the aircraft lost a tire. This incident is coming 5 months after an Air Force aircraft, that's NAF 801, belonging to the Nigerian Air Force, crashed in Hong, Adamawa state. The dependents of 4 officers who lost their lives in active service in Adamawa State have received ₦1 million each under the welfare package of the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Solomon Arase, presenting the checks to families of the 4 policemen who died during the explosion that rocked the Jimeta division of the Nigerian police station in Yola. The Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 3, Mr. Lawal Tanko, says the amount will help cushion the effects of their loss. The AIG also revealed that the anti-bomb unit has been relocated to a safer place far from public view following that incident.
He has therefore approved the sum of ₦1 million to each members of the families to cushion the effects of the loss of their loved ones. This is by no means the last entitlement for their deceased officers. Other entitlements are being pursued. But in addition to the ₦1 million, the Inspector General of Police has equally approved scholarship awards to the children of the deceased officers to support their individual educational pursuits.
I'm very happy. I give God all the glory. It is His doing, and I have nothing to say about it. I am so happy, I'm so glad, and I pray that it will continue.
When we come back on a news track, more from the Nigerian police, or rather when we come back from news across Nigeria, more from the police. Inspector General of Police warns officers and men to respect fundamental human rights. That will be in a moment. Please stay with us.